Hi. No, really. Hi. I'm Andy from Riedel, and I want to start by asking you to look deeply into my eyes. Deeply into my eyes. Now you're feeling very sleepy. You want to buy Andy a coffee and bring him donuts every day. Now, of course, I don't really have you under my control, but in this video, we are talking about control, and specifically the high control system by Riedel. Now, in broadcast, you have a lot of different systems available. You have playout, you have video routing, you have GPIs, which can sometimes be used for tally, sometimes for event triggering, maybe signs for audience prompts. You can have audio controlling. You can also sometimes have a controller for a PTZ camera, and you have one controller which can actually work on multiple different cameras, and you need to decide which camera you're going to be working on. So all of these things need to be controlled, and that's great. Having lots of different elements in your system means that you have lots of possibilities, but each element needs to be controlled. Now, the manufacturer of all these elements, they do give you a control interface, which is great. And an operator is normally capable of learning the entire interface for an element of the system, whatever kind that could be. And if you have access to the manufacturer's interface for controlling it, then you can do everything. You have access to all of the parameters. You have access to all of the different signals in a router, for example. But during a production, you don't actually need all of these functions. Just think about your smartphone. If you're listening to a podcast, you don't need the screen. If you are using your smartphone as GPS or satellite navigation to get somewhere, you don't always need Bluetooth. So we don't always need all of the functions. Just think again, if you're driving your car, maybe you have a rear parking camera so that you can see what you're about to hit as you back up. That's not activated when you're on the highway. So we're used to only using some of the parameters and elements of the systems that we need. And it's exactly the same with video routing in a production environment. You could have a huge big system and you could have hundreds of different signals bouncing around, but you don't need them all at the same time. Just think about a big sports event like the Olympics. In the different sports, you have the individual production happening for that sport, but then in the International Broadcast Center, you get all the program feeds from all of those sports coming in, and then they get distributed to the national broadcasters, etc. But someone who's directing the production of badminton doesn't care about what's happening in the athletic stadium. They only need those signals. And once the shading, for example, has been set up on the camera, that doesn't need to be touched again. So all of those parameters can just be hidden. So it's much easier for the operators to have one common interface where they can deal with the parameters and the elements of the system that they need to control and just ignore all of the others. And this is really where high comes in. We can take all kinds of different systems from all kinds of different vendors, manufacturers, suppliers, and then we can drill down into the parts that an operator needs, and then we can present them to the operator in one common interface. So the operator doesn't need to learn the interface of all of these different manufacturers, all of these different systems. They just have one common interface, which they can then use for routing any kind of signal. So if you take the example of Simply Live, the live production suite by Riedel, you can have live signals coming in as SDI or 2110 eventually. And we can have NDI signals coming in as part of the graphics for the overlay. And these can be coming in different formats. The live signal is SDI, the graphics is NDI, for example. And then we need to blend those together inside Simply Live. Now, when we're routing the signals, we don't actually care what the signal format is. We just want to make sure the right graphics feed gets together with the right camera feed in order to produce the correct program output for the viewer at home. And by using an interface such as Simply Live, we can give the operator one overview, one interface with which they interact, and they don't care if it's SDI, 2110, or NDI. Now, the interface that is presented to the user is either going to be a web UI that they can access just through a browser, or it can be a real smart panel with the control panel app, or it can be a dedicated hardware panel like we have here. Now, there are a number of different models of hardware panel available, with anything from 18 to 54 buttons available, and sometimes with encoders as well. So we can set parameters such as, for example, the monitoring volume for a set of loudspeakers in a monitoring room. And these panels can be used either for switching, for routing, or we can also use it for changing parameters such as the volume, or we could even have different options available on the control panel, which will allow us to adjust the RGB balance, or maybe the saturation, the contrast, etc. All of those parameters we can modify through the use of a smart panel. Now, the way high is managed, because as we've seen, we have all of these different signals and parameters, and we're drilling down, so we're only controlling those which are relevant for the production that the operator is working on right now. We manage all of these through a system of tagging. Now, this allows us to do really quick filtering, and it also means that we can dynamically update the user interface on the fly. So a user can have their own preset, which is adapted to whatever signals they need, but depending on the production of the day, the signals that are present in that preset will change. And so the user doesn't need to change anything, just one central operator can decide, okay, we have these signals active today, these signals are being used for this production, and we can very quickly drill down and see it. It also means it's really easy to set up. So the user will decide on their profile, and then what they see presented to them will update dynamically depending on the tags that have been selected. Now, if we have changing needs for a production, maybe day one, we're doing badminton, day two, we're doing basketball, for example, then previously you would need to have a whole different preset. You would have a static preset where someone would say for each individual operator, okay, you need access to this signal, this signal, this signal, and this output, this output, this output. And sure, that worked. But by doing it dynamically, it becomes much simpler. We just select which signals are going to be used. And this can be one signal or multiple signals. We add the tags, and then the profile that the user has will compare the tags to what's needed, and then it will be presented to the operator. Now, when we're dealing with a signal such as an SDI, we have different essences, and inside the control system, that's treated differently as separate signals. So we have the image on one side and the audio on another. And actually inside an SDI signal, we have 16 audio signals, not just the one. If we have the image and the 16 audio channels together, then we could do 17 different operations every time we want to patch them, but it's much easier if we can do one, if we know that we always want to move the image with its 16 audio channels. Now, inside high, to allow us for that granular control, they are separate essences, but if we can join them together, that's going to make the operation much easier. And we can join them together by using a feature called port containers. Now, sometimes to put the port containers together, this is a grouping of image signals and audio signals and potentially other signals as well that we're just grouping together. To do this manually, it can sometimes take a long time. One person I know, who shall remain nameless, who was working on the preparation for a system for a big international tournament, which I'm not allowed to mention, but does involve people kicking a ball with a foot. Took about 2 days to get all of these signals set up. And actually, within High, it's possible to automate this. So as you can see here on this screenshot, there is one button that if all the signals in your system are named correctly, you click this button, and then 2 days' work can be done in about 5 seconds. So for the operator, they have the standard interface for video switching. So they can select, for example, the screen number 1, and then say we want to take camera 1 and take, and there we go. We could also say we want to take VT1 and then take, and it flips to the other video signal. So for the operator, it's very simple operation. The beauty comes when we want to start changing what the operator sees. Now, if we go to the home page here, we see that there are 2 different profiles available. Which are the 2 profiles available here in the web interface? So I have the cams for today's multi-viewers, and I have multi-viewers for screens. Now, at the moment, if I take the multi-viewers for screens, then I can see here all of the different signals that I have available. And as we can see in the interface here, I'm showing the cameras, the multi-viewers, and the VT. Now, if I take away the filter that says active for today, and then I save it, then we update, and straight away we have more sources available on the panel. So by applying different filters, we can then activate the sorting of the different signals, so we can drill down and only show the signals or elements that we want to use. Now, let's say, for example, we're going to be not using Multiviewer 4 today. If I want to take that out of the interface, instead of going and manually changing it, I can just go to the router. I can start filtering. If I search by Multiviewer, then I'll see Multiviewer out 4, and then I can change the tags. And if I take away active today and then save it, you can see that Multiviewer 4 has disappeared here. So instead of being 3, 4, 5, we now have 3 and 5. Now, by having different categories of signal, I can also allow the operator to sort between the different multiviewer signals that we have. So here there's 1, 2, 3, and 5 because 4 is no longer available. So I could say now screen 2, I want multiviewer 3, which doesn't have any actual video in it. Or then I can come back and say, oh no, I didn't want that multiviewer. I want to go to a camera. Then I'll take the camera, and then the signal is on there. So by using the tags, we can very quickly assign different tags to the different signals. And then by using those signals, we can go from having here, as in the master view, we have all of the different signals available. So 275 different sources going to potentially 554 different destinations. If we start filtering, then we can go to video, which reduces it straight down. Again, video. And then we can say that actually the target, I want to go into the multiviewer and only the ones that are active today. Straight away, I have all of the destinations which I'm going to be using today. And then here I have my sources. If I only actually want to use the cameras, then I filtered that down. So by using tags, we can really affect how quick it is to find the signals you need. And if we want to have more than one kind of signal available, then of course, we can do that. We can select multiple at the same time, and then there's the cameras, the VTs all together available for the different multi-viewers. Now, with Hi, it is a Riedel product now. We can obviously control products like MediaNet as a video router, but we're not restricting Hi to only controlling Riedel products. We're very deliberately keeping Hi as a vendor agnostic platform, which means we can support Grass Valley, we can support Lavo, we can support Ross, we can support others. So all of these systems can be pulled together, controlled by Hi, giving the operator one interface. It's very simple to use, very simple to set up. You just tag the signals, apply the filters as you need them for the user, and the interface will update with whatever signals and parameters he or she needs on that day.